Is it 12? All right. So since we got good time, I can slow it down a little bit, and you're going to see a bunch of questions, a whole lot of questions, because we just got finished what? Sukkot, right? So we have, so the question obviously is, what have we learned during and after Sukkot, and what can we do better? So I'm hoping in the Sukkot that we went through, you've learned some things, you've grown from some things, and some things you would like to improve on. So we're going to go over some of those things today in understanding the whole book. But before we do that, we got some rules. Please keep your mic muted except when asking and answering a question. Use the mic to speak. There is a feature in the room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. These rules are due to time and the recordings of the lesson. These are live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. All right, so we're going to get into it and go here. All right, so comparing text. So there's some things that's highlighted, so that should tell you something, right? It's a dead giveaway. So the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Shaitan or Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his Malachims were cast out with him. And he says he did the whole earth. How did he do the whole earth? Anyone know how that happened? How he deceived the whole world? Where's she at? Sherrod? She outside? Oh.
To do that, it had to be in spirit.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Okay. So we're going to see. We're going to see something, but it's going to be a little bit different than you guys' answers that you think. So just keep in mind, which deceives the whole world. All right. Verse 17. It says, the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keeps the commandments of Elohim, of Yahuah, and has the witness or testimony of Mashiach Yahusha. So, what do you see in these two verses?
Okay. Since you got it in red, you got the commandments, you have the testimony, you have the dragons, serpents, and the devils.
All right. So let me help you out. Everything that's highlighted doesn't mean that's the answer. However, you're going to see the dragon in the future in a little bit. But I wanted to see if two things stood out to you guys. Oh, she has her hand up. He's just next to her.
Is it the old serpent and the woman? Does it go back to the garden? Is that where we're going with this?
Right. So you see the old serpent. That's part of it. And it go back to the garden. But how does it go back to the garden is going to be the
When
key.
the serpent deceived Eve in the garden, and she ate of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, or the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and she gave the fruit to Adam, and that's when they fell into sin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit more, but good. You're on the right track. Okay. All right. So we know for the garden, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed, and it shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. So adding that, do you guys see anything? Verse 12, 17, it says, the remnant of her. Okay, so the dragon's coming after this seed. And then in Bereshit 3:15, it says, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. So can everyone see there's where this already started from the beginning, and you're seeing it at the end. Is everyone good so far? Okay. Okay, hold on. So in Bereshit Genesis 3:1, it has the serpent. So the reason why this is highlighted is to go with this. So the old serpent, We can find that back in Bereshit Genesis. So this is the serpent that they're referring to, right? Was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Elohim or Yahuah Elohim has made. And he said unto the woman, yea, has Elohim said, you should not eat of every tree of the garden? So from the start, you should see bookends of a story. Okay. So before I go forward, someone had a question? Okay, Zemaria. Okay. Zemaria. Okay, you had a question?
I was going to say, I noticed that.
Uh-oh, I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can. In 3D.
Okay, I was saying I noticed the enmity between the seed, between the devil or the dragon and the woman's seed. Those set apart and Yah and the world. The war that we see going on even now in these times, the war between the set apart and those who are not, and the wicked.
Okay, good deal. All right, so now I want to add some more things to the equation. So in the Targum, it talks about the same. So in 3:15, we're reading in two different Targums just so you can see just slight variations. It says, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your children and her children. And it will come about when her children keeps the Torah and do the commandments, they will aim at you and smite you on your head and kill you. But when they abandon the commandments of the Torah, the instructions, you will be aimed at him and will bite him on the heel and will make him deadly ill. But there will be healing for his son. But for you, O serpent, there will not be healing, for they will make appeasement at the last in the day of King Mashiach. Okay. And then Jonathan's Targum says, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between the descendants of your children and the descendants of her children. And it will come about when the children of the woman keeps the commandments and the Torah, they will be turning and smiting you on your head. But when they abandon the commandments of the Torah, you will be turning and biting them on their heel. But there will be healing for them, but there will be not healing for you. And they will make appeasement in the end in the days of King Mashiach. All right. So now what do you see? Now we're adding more to the equation. What do you see?
Slika Moreh, I see more detail as far as, what originally Genesis 3:15 is saying. This is saying more detail in reference to the commandments. In read as we were reading up in Revelations 12 and 17, what the enmity really means in reference to the seed, the remnant of the woman's seed, and the devil's seed.
Okay. All right. So when you look at this here, things are standing out for you guys. You see keeping the commandments, right? You see it in the Naphtali, and you see it in Jonathan, right? So everyone sees all three about keeping the commandments. And these commandments, and I want you to take note really fast that these commandments is how you're going to do what to the serpent. This is how you're going to bruise them. Everyone's with me so far. So mark this because it's going to come back later. Someone had a question? Okay, Zemaria. You there?
I'm here. Sorry, I dropped my phone in paint. But I was gonna say, so the importance of keeping the commandments, like we're literally waging war when we keep it. So in past times, I'm taught we're warring when we're singing psalms and we don't speak accusations against the adversary, but when we're like, singing songs, we dancing, saying we come to warfare, Satan and all that stuff, we drum and do the tribal dances and all that. But really, the war is in keeping the commandments.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. All right. All right, go to the next one. All right, so we talked about the great dragon and the dragon, right? So in the Septuagint or LXX, Daniel's 14:23 and 24 says, and in that same place, there was a great dragon. Same thing you read in Revelations. You're reading it over here. It says, which they of Babylon worship. And the king said unto Daniel, will you also say that this is of brass? Lo, he lives, he eats and drinks. You cannot say that he is no living Elohim. Therefore, worship him. And so before I go there, so we're talking about an image, right? Y'all remember the image of Daniel, right? So this great dragon, it starts talking about. Then we look at in Revelation, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image. So one seems like, it's not really moving type of image, right? But here it says he gives life unto the image of the beast. Then that image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, keep in mind, we just read about the great dragon, right? The old serpent called the devil. So keep that in mind. Since we just read that, I need to reread it. So I'm going up from 13. So I started at the bottom of 13, Revelation 13. Now I'm going up just to share something. It says, and I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after this beast. Now, this one that's dead, could this image, for an example, be something, if it's dead, it doesn't move? Then all of a sudden, this dragon gives the beast this power. Now all of a sudden, this image moves. Is everyone listening so far? Okay. If not, we'll keep going. And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Okay. And then it says, and the beast was given a mouth, uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority. How long? 42 months, right? So we understand that to be, you read that in 12:6, and the woman fled into the wilderness, which we'll talk about in a little bit, where she has a place prepared by Yahuah that should feed her there 1,260 days. Okay, so those two numbers go together. How will the dragon, the beast's kingdom, be destroyed? I.e., their nation. How will it be destroyed? Anyone?
Would it be destroying by the second coming of Hamashiach Yahusha?
Okay, good guess. Anyone else? All right, that's everybody? Okay, so you remember I asked you guys earlier about the commandments, and it will do something to him. Right. Everybody remember that?
Ken.
Okay, great. So
it's Slika Moreh.
Ken.
You was talking about the commandments that would bruise the serpent's head. I was thinking about in Luke chapter 4, when Yahusha went in, he was being temptation when he went into the wilderness. And so you had Hashatan tempted him like 3 different times. And every time Yahusha used the word.
Right. We'll go over that too in a minute. Okay. But we'll show why, though. Why is it going to be important? So yes, he did that, but why is that important? That's what we're going to go over in a little bit. All right. So someone has something else?
I did, Moreh. So would it be destroyed also by the testimony of the saints?
Say it one more time.
What you asked how the kingdom, how it will be destroyed? Would it be destroyed by the testimony of the saints?
Right. So
I'm sorry.
Right. So the answer is by the commandments, by the word of Elohim. That's how it's going to be destroyed. Zimriah, you had something?
I was going to say by the commandments that when we keep them, we're bruising the enemy, and when we don't, he's bruising us.
Right. COVID? Oh, go ahead. You got to check and get that water in your system. Uh-oh. Let me know when you're ready. Meanwhile, all right. So meanwhile, we'll go here. And so it says, Mystery Proverbs 18:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof, which we'll tell you about the fruit.
I was going to say, just think if the whole world kept the commandments, I think that would destroy everything, whatever the enemy planned, all of that would be destroyed.
Right.
If the whole world kept the commandments.
Right. Yeah, that'd be the thing.
I'm Moreh.
Ken.
On what she said, I was thinking too. I was thinking, well, my question was how many, because we know that there's many Hebrew or saints out there that aren't going to open their eyes or they don't want to. So at what point will he be destroyed? How many saints does it have to be?
It doesn't give a number of saints. The deal is we already know that there's going to be a war. So it really doesn't matter because we already know the end result is there's going to be a war between two seeds. So the objective, though, is for the seed of Mashiach / Yahuah's word being the seed is to go out as much as possible. That's the objective, is to get as much as possible. At the end of the day, we already know the end result. But we're trying to get them out of, which we'll read later, we're trying to get them out of one kingdom, if you will, into Yah's kingdom.
Cain, would you say right now when we keep the law, statutes, and commandments that we're bumping his head? I mean, we're not crushing it yet, but are we doing anything affecting him at this time?
Well, for yourself, sure. And for those that you talk to, but yeah. So that's why he's attacking you, which we'll read in a minute. He's attacking you for a specific reason, because you're doing the very thing that Shaitan doesn't want you to do. So right now you're protecting yourself. And then once you have yourself protected, when you go out to share that with others, then, and if they join the team, if you will, then he's going to be coming after them.
Totally.
Okay. All right. So we have to shine the light, i.e. the truth, commandments, and instructions to the nations. This is how we're moving from one side of a nation to another. Okay. All right. So understanding between the first and last book. So the first trial of confronting the devil in the garden would be replicated with the last Adam and his seed. So in Revelation 12:15 through 16, the serpent opposes the woman. Once again, through not only persecution, but also deception, as in the Garden of Eden, being modeled on the beginning, Revelation 12:9, again, where the old serpent is derived primarily from Genesis 3. Now, what I want us to see from here is going to be when it says the deception in the garden, we're going to see that what he started at the beginning, you should understand how he's coming at you. Okay, so this is what we're going to see in a little bit. All right, but before we do that, things to consider. The serpent comes to the woman in Eden. That's in Genesis, or better sheet 3. The serpent comes after the woman in the book of Revelation 12. So everyone sees those two going together. The first Adam failed to protect his bride. The second Adam, if you will, or the last Adam, is successful in protecting his bride. That's what we're going to go to with your sharing in a little bit. In Genesis 3, they are kicked out of the garden, right, of Eden. And in Revelation chapter 2 and chapter 22 speaks of returning to Eden. Okay, so that's why these are bookends are working together to get this picture. The garden had types of fruits that should be eaten. And of course, outside the garden, we are judged by our fruit and are compared to types of fruit. Okay, so we'll see how much we'll get to maybe next week. All right. So we can see the pattern from the past to the future. We're going to see a little bit more of the past and future, but I also want us to think about what we're going to do today about present and future. We see what's happened in the past, but now we need to talk about present and future. All right, so next we will highlight some of the present and future applications concerning eschatological events. There are many more parallels concerning past and future. As we continue in these lessons, more will be brought out. Understanding the whole book can help us change our ways. That's the objective. All right. So the nature of the present and future eschatological deception. So now Shaitan was able to cause both Adam and Yahuah, or Adam and Eve, to break the covenant relationship with Yahuah. Everyone's familiar with this story, right? All right, so today this is still happening. When we understand Shaitan, or Satan's first deception, we can understand how he will come after the bride. Let us see some examples. So I want to go over maybe about 2 or 3 examples here. So the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely eat or surely die. For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. All right, so I'm going with the translation, but the translation is a little bit different. We'll see a little bit of that today. But before we do that, in the Targums, same verses. Listen to what it says. It says, then the woman said to the serpent, we may eat from the fruit of the tree of the garden, but from the fruit of the tree that is in the middle or the midst of the garden, Yahuah has said, you shall not eat from it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent said to the woman, you will not really die, for it is revealed and known before Yahuah that in the day that you eat from it, your eyes will be open, and you will become like Melachim, or like angels, or like messengers from before Yahuah, knowing to distinguish between good and evil. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Okay, so he knows that your eyes will be open, but then in the Targum, it's basically saying you're going to be like the Melachims, right? All right, so now let's look at that in a regular canon here, ESV version of 2 Samuel 14:17, which we read before. But this is in your servant thought, the word of Adonai the king will set me at rest. For Adonai the king is like the Malach of Elohim to discern good and evil. Yahuah your Elohim be with you. So the Melachims do understand how to discern between good and evil. So he's not lying, so to speak, right? That you're going to be like a Malach or a Melachim to discern between good and evil. However, when did he give Adam and Kawa discernment? Right? All he told him was, don't do it. He didn't tell him how to discern between what is good and what is evil. This is going to be very important as we keep going. I'm not sure.
Do you think by her adding that last part to it, it gave him like, okay, I can take
Her,
this.
you said?
Yeah, when she told him, he said that we should not touch them.
Right. We're going to go over that part in a minute.
Oh, okay.
But no
So
problem.
Okay, I just wanted that looked like it gave Hasatan another chance to keep at it. Just keep.
Right. We're going to see what that does. Right. We're going to share why that's not good. Zimri, you had something?
Gonna say you asked when did he give them discernment? Was it after the fact? After they ate?
Right. No, he didn't give them discernment at all. So when they took of it, it winds up creating them to not understand. And then so it opened their eyes to see things that they weren't taught or given the discernment for. It's a trick question. Well, I just want you all to see. All right. All right, so we'll keep going. All right, so the nature of the present and future eschatological deception. All right, so here it is in Bereshit 2:18. It says, and Yahuah Elohim said, it is not good for man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. All right, so Shaitan deceived them in their own marriage relationship so that they did not function as one or as a helpmeet for her. Okay, but they didn't function as one. So allowing Shaitan or an adversary to come into the marriage creates a problem. Is everyone with me so far? All right. He was able to bring them into dialogue. How many of y'all want to talk to devils and demons? But you don't know that because you don't know if they want it or not. I'm just talking about like in general with people. You don't know what they're after. All right. So without them realizing how dangerous a casual conversation like this could be. So when you start entertaining things that's not of Yah, and someone's doing things or creating doctrines and books that is not in Scripture, but they're implying that Scripture talks about this, and you start entertaining it, you open yourself up. Is everyone with me so far? Okay. So 17 says, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die. So we know what he said, right? You shall surely die, or technically die, you will die. That's the actual Hebrew there. Okay, so now 3:4 says, and the serpent said unto the woman, you will not surely die. Satan wanted to contradict Yahuwah's word. So you see, once that dialogue gets to going, and it piques your interest, now he can start saying something. Now he's going directly against what was already said. So automatically that should have been a light bulb, right? But again, somebody's not helping out. We'll see that in a minute. All right. So 3:5. For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. Okay. So he passed himself off as being who posed no danger. I'm just giving you information. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm not trying to change nothing. Technically, I'm really trying to change it, but I'm just giving you some information. And he made sinful disobedience to Elohim's word appear as good course of action. Do you really, don't you want to get smarter? Don't you want to learn the deep stuff of Yah? Let me just tell you what he's not telling you. Just something to pick your interest. All right. So he wants you to think evil is good and good can be evil. So we know in Isaiah 5:20 says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And that's going to be very key. So remember about this towards the end of the slide. You can hear about light and darkness. All right. That put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. So why was Kawa deceived? She did not know Elohim's word sufficiently or did not esteem it highly enough. The actions are still happening today. Okay? Back then, but we're still doing that, some of us today. Is everyone with me so far? All right. So, before we get into that, I put what commanded Adam? Okay, so Adam, Kawa, and Kawa was created for his purpose. Everyone agrees, right? Adam had 7 main commands. But before we talk about those main commands, okay, who else was created? We got that right there.
He was created by the Father, so he was created as well.
Okay.
In the garden? No?
Right.
General?
Right. So what I'm getting at is we already know Adam and Kawa was created. Why was Adam and Kawa created? Why was he created? Just in general. Why do you think he was created? Adam and Kawa.
To serve Elohim.
Adam and Eve. To do what?
To serve Elohim.
Okay, we're going to get an answer in now and then in the future. But then if we know that for his purpose, the question becomes who else was created for the same purpose? Okay, Zimriyahu, you had something? Or Zimriyahu, sorry, Slika, you had something?
I was going to say he was created to work to tend to the earth.
Right, but you're talking about Adam and Kawa. I mean, outside of them.
I say the Melakim.
Okay, Melakim. Okay.
Slikan Moreh, wasn't also Shaitan also created to serve Yahuah also? He was also one of the higher Malachims. He was created too, outside of Adam. I mean, outside of Adam and Eve. He was also created.
Okay. Yeah.
And both of them were created for worship, to worship Elohim.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? One boy? Yeah. One boy? You had something? Okay.
Slika, Sarakia said what I was thinking about the Malakim being created. Yeah. Toda.
Okay. All right. So let's just go to the answer here. But now, thus saith Yahuah, that created you, O Jacob, and that he formed you, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you, but by your name you are mine. Even everyone that is called by my name, for I have created him for my esteem, my chabod. I have formed him, yea, I have made him. So, Adam or Adam is created for his purpose to do something on this earth, right? So now what winds up happening is because of their failure, then he says, okay, this still has to happen. So now I'm going to create a nation for myself. It's going to do the very thing I told Adam and Kawa to do. Okay, on this earth. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right, great. Anyone have something? All right. So now let's go back to the guard here. So Elohim created man in his own image, and in the image of Elohim created he him, male, zakar, and female. And female is unikaba. Okay, created he them. So for male, let's just start with this man here. So the word male there is an adjective form, right? But the root meaning is to remember, memorial or memorialize, cause to mind. So this is the man's job, is to cause to mind, to be sharp. Okay, was Adam pretty sharp in there? No, he had a dull knife. Okay. So cause to remembrance. He is to operate as a priest in the house of Yahuah. Okay, so remember we talked about where those places talks about the garden operating as a temple. Okay, it says he is to also be a guide in his house. Okay, so I'm just putting here also think about as a man today how he's supposed to be the head of the house. Okay, now keep that in mind, head of the house. Everyone's in agreement with male head of the house? Low? Everyone's good? Okay, some of you got water in your eyes. They're crying. Okay. Now, let's look at woman. So an adjective form for it means female, but the verb means to bore or to pierce. Secondarily means appoint, designate, name by way of physical notion of marking an individual as distinctive. She is to be one with her ish. There's supposed to be an order. Okay, so now for the male, and for the female, everyone sees them supposed to operating as one. There's supposed to be some type of order here, right? So what does it mean when it says to designate, to point physical notion, mark an individual, distinctive, she is to be, what does that mean to the women first? And I'm going to ask about the men in just a minute. So to the sisters, can you help me out with the word nekeba? Nekeba, anyone? Do we have any? So you all know all you women in here, it's called a nikaba, right? Or is it called nikaba? Right? Okay, great. So, but you guys never looked yourselves up. Okay, no problem. Someone has something online?
It's because, is that to be a helper or helpmate?
Lo, the word nikaba. Just the word nikaba.
Oh, no, I don't know what that means, Moreh. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Zimriel, you had something?
Okay, so Bora Pierce. All right, so the only thing I can think of in relations to her being one with her ish is when the two become one, she's pierced, and then she sort of he designates, I guess, to her what is, her quote unquote job in a sense, and then she designates to whomever from that point what their work is, such as to the children. And then to name by way of the physical notion of marking an individual as distinctive. I've recently learned that in a Hebrew marriage that a woman will have a nose ring. That's one way of marking her to show that she, quote unquote, well, not quote unquote, because it is, that she belongs to her ish. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's so vast being one with him. I don't.
Okay. All right. So the word in pierce or bore literally means, and zakar literally means dealing with intercourse for sure. The word to appoint and designate.
Yeah.
The point for to designate and a physical notion of marking. That's what the man does to the woman, right? I'm just being G as possible here, right? All right. So, but it's for his purpose, is why he's doing certain things, and she's operating as one with him. So she's designating according to who she's attached to. Okay, is everyone with me so far? All right. So before that, males, tell me a little bit about this word zakar, other than what you just read there. Yeah, anyone that's considered a male.
We're waiting on you online.
Oh yeah. So I'm just curious, just stabbing this in the dark. Have you all read about what zakar and nikaba means? No. Okay.
Definitely not my first time.
Okay. All right. So zakar, to remember, act on behalf of. So this male is supposed to be operating, acting on behalf of Yah. Right? So he's the one that is supposed to be remembering Yah in all that he does, because he's in somebody's house, right? He's in somebody's house. Whose house is he in? Run's house. Oh, okay. He's in Yah's house.
Whose house?
Okay.
Yah's
so he's
house.
in Yah's house. So he was made to operate on behalf of Yah. And then ultimately his house, if he does the same thing, he mimics that, then you start to see that that's how they become one, right? Between him and Yah. And if Isha does the same thing with him, they become one. Then everyone's operating as one. Is everyone okay with that so far? All right, so keep that in mind. So that's what he's supposed to do. Now, we'll keep going. We'll get those out the way. Now we go to 128. It says, and Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish or fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowls of the air and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Who's supposed to have all of that?
Man.
Okay, not the woman?
Well, she's a part of the man.
Both are supposed to have this at this time. Right? At this time.
Again.
I know some may want to keep going outside, but I'm just talking about right now, at this time. All right. So now, 2:16 says, and Elohim, or Yahuah Elohim, commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. He taught that to who?
To Adam.
Okay. But of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat it thereof, you shall surely die. So we see these 7. Everyone's agreement. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion, eat from the tree in the garden, cannot eat from the tree of good and evil. Okay, so the adversary wants to change these rules. But these rules are very simple, but they can go into different levels. There's a way of being fruitful, not just physically, but spiritually. Same thing with multiplying the Father's word, if you will. Same thing with filling the earth, call it the field, if you will, in according to Matthew's. Subdue it, have dominion, X, Y, and Z. All right. So the man that Yahuah chose, right? Because that's what the sisters want, right? The man that Yahuah chose. So 2:15 says, and Yahuah Elohim took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So now, to the man, what's his job? Avad or abad, to work or serve, is translated as dress in the King James. And then it says to keep it, shamar, right? To keep, to guard, to observe, to take heed or give heed to something. Okay, so that's his job. He's supposed to know this. So if a sister says, hey, I'm ready to marry, I'm ready to be with somebody, if he doesn't know his makeup or his function, you're going to have a problem. No difference than if the man is ready and the sister's not ready. How can he be the head of that house if she's not going to allow him to be the head of the house? Right, so there's an order. So we're not doing marriage counseling today. I'm just, because this is on the way here, we'll keep going.
I appreciate it, Aki.
All right, that'd be a whole nother lesson. So now, Second Baruch says, chapter 4, verse 2 says, or do you think that this is the city of which I said, one of the palms of my hand I have carved you? It is not this building that is in your midst now. It is that which will be revealed with me, that was already prepared from the moment that I decided to create paradise, or the word paradise is the Greek version of Gan Eden or Eden, okay? And I showed it to Adam before he sinned. So what did he show him? He showed him this building before he sinned. Keep that in mind. All right, so before he sinned, but when he transgressed the commandments, it was taken away from him, as also paradise or Gan Eden or Garden of Eden. After these things, I showed it to my servant Abraham in the night between the portions of the victims. Who's the victims? Remember, he cut those animals open. He made that covenant with him. He said, I showed him this building. Not only him, and again, I showed it also to Moses on Mount Sinai or Mount Sinai, when I showed him the likeness of the tabernacle, and that's telling you what that building is, the tabernacle and all its vessels. Behold, now it is preserved with me as also paradise. Okay, so there's a reason for this, because it's supposed to come back later. Is everyone with me so far? All right. So there seems to be a theme that started in the garden and has an ongoing pattern. Adam was to serve, to observe, to give heed, to guard and keep what was in the Garden of Eden, which is also called the temple, i.e. the building or the house. Okay, so once he learns his function, the Father told him his function, he's supposed to operate in just being obedient, not trying to get all deep into what he meant or try to get discernment, because he will give him the discernment, right? But he didn't do that part. This pattern also can be seen as the works of a bride. This is why I'm sharing with you. This is very important. I say the works of a bride because what did we read earlier that he was supposed to do? Adam. There was like 7 things. And then we kept going. Then we started talking about dress it. And did you guys ever remember keep it? Does any of that ring a bell? All right. So if you understand that's what he's supposed to do in that house, because he's not the head of that house, is he? Okay. So if he was not the head of the house, but he's supposed to do this in this place, this helps us understand, that's why I said on a bigger scale, for a bride. So now she says, oh, I'm supposed to do that. And in Israel, it's considered a bride. So they're supposed to be doing the same thing. Okay. So then, that's why I put on the bigger scale. This is talking about Israel and the ones who sojourns among them. One law for stranger and native born, right? On a smaller scale, it can help the bride of the bridegroom to understand how to govern his house. Is everyone understanding this? So again, I know I'm not trying to get into a bunch of marriage counseling today, but I'm just simply sharing a pattern, how this pattern should work. So if a sister says, hey, I want to be married or want to be married or whatever, I want to be what the Father made me to be, he's already given it to you in the garden. Same thing with the man. If the man wants to have a happy home, if you will, or have a righteous home, he already knows what to do. All right? All right, keep going. Now, going one more place, and then we'll go back to the garden. So this is Baruch 3, 4, and 6. Kind of interesting, so I figure I'll share it with everybody. He said, I, Baruch, said to the Malach, show me the tree which deceived Adam, okay, or mankind. And the Malach said to me, when Yahuah made the garden and commanded Michael to gather 200,000 and 3 Melachim, so that they could plant the garden, Michael planted the olive, and Gabriel the apple, Uriel the nut. Yes, they had nuts and trees. Okay. Raphael the melon, and Shetanel the vine. Now, why is this going to be important? You'll see in a minute. For at first, his name in the former times was Shetanel. And similar, all the Melachim planted their various trees. And again, I, Baruch, said to the Malach Adonai, show me the tree through which the serpent deceived Yahuah and Adam. And the Malach said to me, listen, Baruch, in the first place, the tree was the vine. But secondly, the tree is sinful desires which Shetanel spread over Yahuah and Adam. And because of this, Yahuah has cursed the vine because Shetanel has planted it, and by that he deceived the protoplast Adam and Yahuah. Question, what is a protoplast? Okay.
Because isn't that the protoplast is like is that like the embryo, or like it's like the seed?
Okay, let me just go ahead and show it to you. No problem. Protoplast. It's an archaic term meaning the first individual of a type or race, a thing or being that is the first of its kind. Everyone's outside, I know. They're trying to get in the house. All right, so now, of course, if you further more into biology, it starts talking about the cell, okay, in biology and things like that. So if this winds up becoming corrupt, then what winds up happening? Everything thereafter, the copies of everything now starts to be corrupted, right? Everyone's understanding, right? But this, according to Baruch, this tree that they're referring to, or vine, is what type of tree or vine? It's the grapevine. You heard it through the... All right. So it's the grapevine. So I got a question for you guys, obviously, since if Baruch is correct, then it helps us understand something if he's correct, right? So here we go. So in 4:9, it says, and Baruch said to the Malach, Adonai, if Adon has cursed the vine and its seed, then how can it be of use now? I mean, if it's all cursed, right? He thought to himself, saying, this is truly the vine which Shetanel planted in the middle of the garden, by which he deceived Chawah and Adam. Because of this, Yahuah cursed it and its seed. So if I plant it, then will Yahuah not be angry with me? And he knelt down on his knees and fasted 40 days, praying and crying, and said, Adonai, if I plant this, what will happen? And Yahuah sent to Malach Sarael. He declared to him, rise to who? Noah, right? Because this is the prophecy of what Baruch is sharing. I just jumped down. So mind you, from 9 to 13. He says, rise, Noah, and plant the vine. Now, what vine was this earlier? The grapevine. Okay. And so Noah planted the vine and altered its name and changed it for the better. Right? But beware, Baruch, the tree still possesses its evil, meaning there's still something in there, so be careful. Those who drink wine in excess, I mean, you go over beyond the call of duty, okay? Oh. He says, do all evil. It says, brother does not show mercy to brother. You know, when you get that way, your brother's out the window. Nor father to son, nor son to father. And from the evil of wine comes forth murder and adultery, fornication and cursing, as much evil as exists because of wine. So Noah, listen, if you could plant it, but I'm just going to tell you, be careful. So if this is the same vine, what happened with Noah when he planted a vineyard? He said, oh my goodness, you are right, Yah. This thing is fermented just right. All right, now, so I said, so the vine that was cursed. So I said, could this vine that is being understood as the grapevine be one of the main reasons scriptures are using this vine to describe good and evil? Meaning the vine can produce good grapes or good fruit, but if used wrong, can become bad for you. Is that possible? Mashiach is called the vine. So is Mashiach reversing what happened? If this is the vine, is he trying to reverse that vine that was technically cursed, if you will? All right, so I put, could he be restoring the vine that was cursed? Those that do not believe in him will be broken off, just as when Chatanel in this writing used it for his purpose. John 15:1 and 5 says, I am the true vine, my father is the farmer, or the vine dresser. It says, verse 5 says, and it says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abides in me, and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. Can the fruit from this vine cause good and evil if taken too much of it? Of course, yes, right? So why speak of the blood, the grapes, and the sefer and the brit hadashah? So in other words, if you notice that one of the fruits that talks about the most is grapes. Okay? Devarim 8:8, I'm just giving you some good and bad. So it says, and the land of wheat and barley and vines, and the word for vines is gaffain. What's the word gaffain translate to in English? Grape juice. Gaffain, grape juice. Okay, of Sodom, but this one here says the vine, slikha. So it's a verse 8 says of gaffain or grape juice, and of fig trees and pomegranates, and land of oil, olive oil, and honey. 32 says, for the vine, the gaffain, is of the vine, the gaffain of Sodom, and of the field of Gomorrah or Amorah. Their grapes are grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. So it further tells you that these vines, this gaffain, is actually grape juice, or grapes, if you will. All right. Psalms gives you a positive. So return, we beseech you, Elohim Sibaot. Look down from Shamayim, or from heaven, and behold and visit this gaffain, this vine, this grape, and the vineyard which your right hand has planted, and the branch that you made strong for yourself. Now, we believe that that right hand is who? Mashiach. Okay, that's what I'm asking. If this is true, meaning what Baruch is saying, is he redoing this vine to make everything that Yah made righteous or whole? All right. So back to the garden. That was just my thought for you guys. There was like so many things I had to eliminate because it just seems too controversial for everybody. All right, so back to Genesis 2:16. It says, and Yahuah Elohim commanded the man, saying, you will surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the days that you eat of it you shall surely die. 3:2 says, and the woman says unto the serpent, when we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you will not surely die. Now, notice the small, subtle wordplay, right, in this conversation. First, she minimizes what Yahuah said. How she did it? So Kawa says, nochel in the Hebrew. Nochel, translated as we may eat. We may eat. So I'm already bringing this thing down. In Hebrew, literally says we will eat. Okay, nochel. Yahuah said, though, he says, akol tokel. He says, akol tokel. You will surely eat, or literally, eat, you will eat. Not you, you can eat it. You may be able to eat it. Just this little substance can change something. Okay, so here, you see there's a problem with that. Now here, there's a taking away. Everyone sees the taking away. Now we're going to see, then we see the adding, right? She further says, well, lo tig ubo, right? Now, okay, so if I want to do the syntax here, where or there, if you will, means and, lo means no or not. And then tig bo, tig is, if you see the tav in the front and the u in the back of it, that tells you it's in a command form, right? It's literally in a command form here. And then the dagesh in the gimel means that there's a letter that's been dropped. Okay, the letter that's been dropped in this is the noon. So technically, this says nega, and I'm not, it's really nega. Okay, yeah, all right. And then bo means in him or in it. Okay, so neither shall you touch it. Literally, it says you will not touch in it. That's the literal translation for this here. So and I put Yahuah did not say this at all. She just added something there, right? It's just not there. So we saw the taken away and we saw the adding. Is everyone with me so far? All right. Deborah, of course, 12:32, he says, what things soever I command you, observe to do it, you shall not add thereto, nor diminish or take away from it. So the very thing you're not to do, and it's in his command because of something that was already done. Okay, is everyone good so far? All right, so when we add or take away to observe and do, we open the door for interpretation. The minute we do that, we open the door for interpretation. We create commands alongside Elohim. Adam didn't remember or obey Elohim's word. He should have trusted it. Since he did not come to Chawah's aid when she failed to recollect the word rightly in the face of the serpent, it caused a fall. When the defense of Elohim's word is taken away, all kinds of satanic lies come to fill the void. Something has to fill the void. The desire to resist temptation breaks down and sin inevitably occurs. That's why he doesn't want you to add or take away, because now you crack that door open for interpretation now. Okay, is everyone good so far? All right. All right, so the difference is we saw what happened there, and now we're going to see what happened with Adam. Now we're going to look at that last Adam and see what happened, right? So Mashiach says, or was written about Mashiach says, then was Yahusha led up of Haruach, or the spirit, into wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterwards in hunger. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if you be the son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, right? It is written, Ha-Adam shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahuah. He's reversing things and going back to the Adam, if you will, in the garden. Then he says, then the devil takes him up into the Kodesh city, the set-apart city, and sets him on a pinnacle of the temple, and says unto him, if you be the son of Elohim, cast yourself down, for it is written, he shall give his Malachim charge concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time you dash your foot against a stone. Yahusha said unto him, it is written, again, you shall not tempt Yahuah your Elohim. Again, the devil takes him up into exceedingly high mountain and shows him all the kingdoms of the world and the esteem of the chabod of them, and says unto him, all these things will I give you, because he can do that, right? He's okay. So he said, all these I can give you if you will fall down and worship me. Then says Yahusha unto him, get you hence, Shaitan. For it is written, you shall worship Yahuah and your Elohim, and him only shall you serve. So the way to attack any enemy or adversary is his word. You don't add your stuff to it. You don't get the Shirley, you can't touch it, or maybe we can. No, what the word says is what it says. Okay, that's how you attack the enemy. If you do that, it gives no wiggle room, no play. Right? So you notice what happens to the adversary. What does he do? He flees. He leaves. Oh, well, hey, I couldn't do it. So now, notice that Yahusha stopped Hashatan by using the word of Yahuah. He did not add or take away. He later begins to teach his bride, okay, his bride, how to withstand Hashatan. If we listen to the last Adam, or the bridegroom, we will be with him in paradise, or Gan Eden, Garden of Eden. Where the first Adam failed, the second or last Adam is repairing the vine. Okay, so you see now, he said, this is how you do it. First Adam didn't do it right. I'm going to show you how to do it. And now I'm going to show you how to do it. Now I'm going to teach my bride, because he didn't teach his bride. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to teach your bride. And then my bride is going to withstand in the last days, because they're holding fast to the Father's word. Okay, so how are we doing so far? Okay. So Luke 3:38, just wanted to add this really quick. It says, which was the son, this is the genealogy in 3:38 of Mashiach. He said, which son of Sheth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of Elohim. The genealogy of Mashiach is going back to Adam, then ends with the son of Elohim. So notice, why did Luke have his stretch all the way back to Adam? If you see that in Luke, right? So this passage was followed directly by the temptation narrative, meaning the whole temptation story of that as well. So beginning with, realistically, Adam and with Yahusha, meaning the two Adams, thus portraying Yahusha as an Adam figure undergoing temptation. Okay? All right, great. We can let that go. All right, so now we are the virgins of the bridegroom. So Revelation 14:1 says, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having the Father's name written on their forehead. Verse 4, these are they which were not defiled with women. Who are these? These are the, okay, 144. This is going to be very important towards the end of the slide. With women. For they are, is how it's translated, they are virgins. In the Greek, their imi means they are, literally means for they are to be virgins. But anyway, we'll keep going. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. These were redeemed from among Ha-Adam. Okay, they were redeemed from men, being the first fruits unto Eloah and to the Lamb. Verse 5 says, and in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of Eloah. So put the same deception Adam and Hawa and Yahusha went through is directed against his people today. So all of them went through it. That's what it also tells you, that we all are going to go through it. Okay. So it says, like Yahusha, his body of believers goes through the eschatological trial of deception about various aspects of Elohim's truth, both. Now listen to what happens in the family. Okay, in the family and in the covenant community, as well as in other areas of life. Okay, so this trial is going to go through your family, it's going to go through the community, and it's going to go through your personal life. Okay, these trials, these temptations, these deceptions, and all that he's going to go through, he's going to try everything in his power to get you off track, right? But Mashiach can say, hey, listen, he's a good example of someone that is quote unquote single, right? Not no physical marriage, but he's also spiritually engaged. So he was able to share how to do that. So he's tackling two things. All right. So I put, though all manner of deception, Hashatan attempts to tear us away from our faith and loyalty to Yahuah, we are to identify with Yahusha as his bride, because he is the faithful witness. You read that in Revelations 1:5. Through tribulation, even unto death. So the heart of the matter is this. Do you, this meaning you guys, do you know Elohim's word? Everyone probably say, yes, y'all do? Okay, great. Do you believe it? Okay. And do you do it? I hear a whole lot of Ken and yo, absolutely. Okay. Until it rubs you that wrong way, then you got to find another way. All right. Yeah. Either I'm going to accept it or not, right? But you might hear a shaitan might come out of you. Well, let me see how I can manipulate this thing. Let me see how I can get a workaround. All right. If not, then the lies of Hashatan will slip into your life. When this happens and the process goes unchecked and uncorrected, then the deception begins to pour in like an overflowing river, right? So now you see something we talked about earlier, 12:15, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. I mean, that's what he wants. All right, so you might ask yourself, why is the serpent going after the woman? Anyone? Takers? Why is the serpent going after the woman? It's on his way.
Is it because she's the weaker vessel?
Okay, so weaker vessel.
Plus,
okay. Plus, you want to add to it? Go ahead.
Plus, she wasn't the head of the house. She was to walk with him, and she didn't do that. So,
okay. All right. Anyone else?
Moreh, I think it's because the woman is going to bring forth the Mashiach. So I think he's going after.
Okay. Yeah, this is the woman, right? Right. Zimriah.
Shalom, this is Zamaria. I would say because she is the one who's bringing forth the seed. If it's enmity with the seed, she's the incubator. So if he can destroy the seed before it comes forth, then he can destroy the purpose. It'll never come into fruition.
Okay.
Yeah, Ken Moreh, and when Abba Yahuah said, "Be fruitful and multiply," well, it's kind of difficult if he can destroy it in the womb, if Shaitan can destroy it before able before that seed actually can actually be produced, be fertilized in the womb to multiply upon the earth with his word.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to start with the woman
Mm-hmm.
who was taken out of man in order to, do
Okay.
his evil
All
bidding.
right.
Okay.
I'd like to say something. I'm thinking of it as this. So Mashiach is our bridegroom, and we're the bride. He's put the seed of the word in us, and we are commanded to spread his commandments, laws, statutes throughout the world. That's what Hasatan is trying to destroy. And if he can destroy that by putting doubt in our minds, or we're not knowing what we're supposed to do, or we're not doing what we're supposed to do, of course, this flood can overtake us, and then
Okay.
so that's
We're
why
supposed to
he's
be the
going after
light.
destroy it. Yeah.
Okay.
He wants to destroy that seed that he's given us to multiply.
Okay. Moreh Lamadyahu has something?
Yes. You asked why did the serpent go after Eve, right?
Mm-hmm. No, not Eve. Just the serpent going after the woman.
Oh,
Not
why
specific, right? In
why he
Revelation.
goes after the woman?
Yeah, in Revelations. Yeah.
Oh, well, pretty much in alliance with all the answers and responses that went before, and it's because she was the carrier of the word, and he's really going after the word of the Most High, and the woman just was the vessel that was chosen to be used to carry that. Like the male, his job is to protect it, so he went after what was carrying it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to post something for you guys, and just tell me if you ever read this before. Okay. So why is the serpent going after the woman? Okay. Right. Remember, he says the reason he's coming after her is because she's keeping the commandments. Right? Everyone agrees? How many words you taking? How many licks does it take? Okay. All right. Great. Lawlessness has been working in this earth before us. So these are just some places that we know. It's for the mystery of lawlessness does already work. Only he who now will let until he has taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, unto whom Hadon shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. 1 John 2:8 says, little children, it is the last time or the last hour. And as you have heard that the anti-Mashiach shall come, even now are there any anti-Mashiach, whereby we know that it is the last hour, last time. So what was happening then and is happening now is lawlessness and the works of anti-Mashiach. Back then, it's still happening now. So these two things are very important. If I can get rid of the seed, the woman, the one that's bearing this seed, the commandments, the lawlessness, okay, that's what he's trying to do. So I put, if you understand this and keep yourselves from these doctrines, you can be likened to a virgin, be called the first fruit of Elohim. So I put, let your fruit grow and mature, right? So these two things are very key and for you to make it to that next stage. Is everyone okay with that so far? All right. Second Timothy also says, okay, hold on. Study to show yourself approved unto Eloah, and workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more wickedness, and their word will eat as does the canker, of whom is Haneas and Phyteus. You had something, Sarakia?
I just want to ask, what you said about the Melachim and the trees was interesting. I'm wondering, as far as like Elohim let Shaitan go after Job, as a test, I'm wondering why he allowed that evil tree to be planted in the midst of the garden, and could it have been some type of test for them?
Right. Yes. So before, on the earlier series, I was sharing that when I say earlier series, like even why he created Israel. In that series, it talks about the same thing that you're asking. And basically is, remember I was sharing that there are some parallels between what's happening in Ezekiel about him having a taberette. It says Israel has a taberette. He has precious stones. Israel has precious stones. He's showing that whereas the adversary had power and fell, he's showing he's going to prove to the adversary that we don't even have that power. We still are going to serve him and endure to the end. So yes, it's a test, but it's also this test is going to allow you to endure and then judge Malachims at the end. Okay.
Oh, okay. So at that point, the test failed. I mean, because of what they did, correct?
Right.
But
Well,
that's why he got Noach and the rest to just keep trying to Abraham and.
Right. But since we know that he knew the end from the beginning, he knew what was going to happen. But that at the end, he's going to show him that there is a remnant that will endure to the end.
Oh, okay. Totally.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Hymenius, I think you guys are familiar with this. I just put on 1 Timothy 1:19-20, holding fast to the faith and a good conscience, which some having put away concerning the faith, he made shipwreck. And there's of whom, there here he is again, Hymenius, Alexander, who I have delivered unto Shaitan, that they may learn not to blaspheme. Okay. So again, you got to hold on to your faith. All right. Don't let other adversaries or Shaitans, if you will, start eating at you, because sometimes we're looking for answers because you're upset with a brother, you're upset with a sister, and so you go try to get them on your side. I'm not talking about counsel. I'm talking about you try to get them on your side, and when you start trying to get them on your side, you're right, girl, or Aki, I know what you're talking about. What are they doing? No scripture, no counseling, just I'm with you, Ak. Right? Or sisters, that's right, girl. I'm with you too. Yeah, sis. Is that how y'all talk? No? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You have to say, hey, sis, hold on. Let's look at this thing. What does the word say? And I really can't. The only advice I can give is how you're operating in this. However, I don't know that other sister or that other brother's side. I don't know how I can really give you an advice that's sufficient enough for you, other than maybe sharing through a counsel that could take place, or sharing through how you're taking it, or how your emotions is riled up, or how something is. Is everyone with me so far? And then you say, well, let me just show you some scripture that should be able to help. And then they can take that back, and then that will help them grow. But if you give them the wrong advice, girl, if I were you, leave them. If I were you, girl, do this. If I were you, brother, man, please let that thing go. I mean, so when they start saying stuff like that, and then you come to find out you never even heard the other side, you wind up causing stumbling blocks. You wind up causing problems. Is everyone with me so far? I know it's no one, online or here, so we should be good. Everyone should be smiling. All right. So the people whom I have formed, comparing the text. All right, so we're doing good? Oh, hallelujah. All right. Oh, yeah, I got a good time. All right, so Yahuah, or Isaiah 43:18 says, remember you not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. And I said, see Revelations 12:14. Everyone's familiar with Revelation 12:14? Great, just in case you're not. And to the woman were given 2 wings of the great eagle. She might fly into the wilderness, into the place where she is nourished for a times, half a times from the face of the serpent. Okay. Of course, 42 months, 3.5 years, 1,260 days. That's that portion there. Okay. So anyway, we'll keep going. So the people have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise. So the ones I formed for myself, what y'all saying, what is their job? To give them a praise. So you ask yourself, am I meeting these standards that he's set? And if you are, hallelujah. But if you're not, then it's the time to start getting to that standard, right? All right, 65:17. through 23, it says, "For behold, I create a new heaven and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be you glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem and rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem or Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that has not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed." Question for you before I go to verse 21. In this time here, in this type of renewing creation here, the child is going to die in much older than it is now, right? So is this, can anyone help me with this type? What's this all about, this time period here? Someone speaking?
Speak up, Moreh.
Uh-huh.
Is this during the time of the time of the 1,000-year reign?
Someone's trying to say the same thing you're saying.
Oh, okay.
All right. So keep that in mind. I'm just asking you guys for right now. Keep that in mind. Verse 21, "And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of trees are the days of my people, and my elect shall long enjoy the works of their hands." Okay, so they're going to be working with their hands, right? So has their bodies changed or something? Meaning they've taken off the corruptible and put on incorruptible? Okay. I don't know who's talking, but okay. All right. So it says, "They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth your trouble, for they are the seed, the blessed of Yahuah, and the offspring with them." Okay, so just keep this in mind. So the Septuagint of verse 22 is interesting. We're talking about the days of trees. The Septuagint has, "They shall by no means build and others inhabit, and they will by no means plant and others eat. For as the days of the tree of life shall be the days of my people, they shall long enjoy the fruit of their labors." Okay. Yep. So everyone see this reversing thing happening. I'll do this one here. Okay. So Baruch 44:9 says, "For everything will pass away, which is corruptible, and everything that dies will go away, and all present time will be forgotten, and there will be no remembrance of the present time which is polluted by evils. For he who runs now runs in vain, and he who is happy will fall quickly and be humiliated. For that which will be in the future, that is what that one will look for, and that which comes later, that is what we shall hope for. For there is a time that does not pass away, and that period is coming, which will remain forever. And there is the new world, which does not carry back the corruption those who enter into it beginning, and which has no mercy on those who come into torment or those who are living in it. And it does not carry to perdition. For those are the ones who will inherit this time of which it is spoken, and to these it is the heritage of the promised time. These are they who prepare for themselves treasures of wisdom, and store of insight are found with them, and they have not withdrawn from mercy, and they have preserved the truth of the law. For the coming world will be given to these, but the habitation of many others will be in the fire. You therefore admonish the people as much as you can, for this is our work. For when you instruct them, you will make them alive. So who's going to instruct them? The ones with the light, the ones that are preserving the truth. Okay, keep that in mind. Further, he says, and I said to them, I cannot resist the throne of the mighty one, but Israel or Yashral, Israel will not be in want of a wise man, nor the tribe of Jacob a son of the law, but only prepare your heart so that you obey the law and be subjected to those who are wise and understanding with fear, and prepare your soul that you shall not depart from them. What does it mean when he says obey the law? Or we know what obey is, but be subjected to those who are wise and understand with fear. What does that mean? Someone saying something? Oh,
I'll wait for somebody else.
Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Sold.
For those that are wise and understanding in the knowledge of the law that preserve it, when they're instructing you, you should respect those people and heed what they say.
Okay.
They watch over your nefesh.
Okay. So, as it says, Hebrews 13:17, obey them that have rule over you and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, and they must give an account that they may do it with joy and not with, I got to hear your problems again. Brother, sister, what is the problem with you? No, they got to have some joy. Hey, listen, let me see what we can do. Let's go find. Let's see what the words say. Here she go. Here he go again. Oh, let me put them on mute. They're calling again. All right. For that is unprofitable for you. All right. So remember other places you read where he's giving you prophets and evangelists and teachers and shepherds for what purpose? Edification, right? So again, that's what they're supposed to be doing. All right, we'll keep going here. Okay, looking for a new world without corruption. Continues. Jubilees 127 says, and he said to the Malak of his presence, write for Musha from the first creation until my sanctuary is built in their midst forever and ever. And Yahuah will appear in the sight of all, and everyone will know that I am Elohim of Yisrael or Yashral or Israel, and the father of all the children of Jacob or Jacob, and king upon Mount Zion forever and ever. And Zion and Jerusalem will be Chodesh, it will be set apart. Verse 29, and the Malak of his presence, who went before the camp of Israel or Yisrael, took the tablet of the divisions of years from the time of the creation of the law and the testimony of witness according to their weeks of years, according to the jubilees, year by year, throughout the full number of jubilees, from the day of creation until the day of the new creation, when the heaven and earth and all of their creatures shall be renewed according to the powers of heaven and according to the whole nature of earth, until the sanctuary of Yahuah is created in Jerusalem upon Mount Zion. What does it mean by the creatures shall be renewed? Renewed, creatures being renewed. Okay. No one's going to take a stab at this? Okay, nope.
I think I'm going to take a stab at this.
Okay, don't stab yourself.
I won't.
Okay, good.
Is it because of what is happening now? Many of the creatures has been like not as peaceful as they were.
Okay.
And now they are corrupt. They attack each other. They attack humans and everything. So it's the creatures has changed because of the sin that or the fall.
Okay, so you're saying, for example, these creatures, be it animals or humans, we all are doing that to each other. And so there's going to be a renewing. So if that's going to be a renewing, is it possible that then you'll probably start seeing certain animals in Jerusalem and in Israel and things like that? Is that a possibility? Because some people may teach, hey, well, those things are not there.
Just look at the past
Right.
when it was in on
But
the
when it's
ark,
renewed,
on
right.
the with Noah on the ark, they was at peace.
Right, but they're talking about now. If you go to
Now?
Israel now,
No,
they're
you
like,
don't
hey,
see
I
that.
don't see any wild nothing, right? But the point is, when he renews things, will he then have it there again? Okay. He said, and all the lights will be renewed for healing and peace and blessing for all of the elect of Israel or Yisrael or Israel, in order that it might be thus from that day and unto all days of the earth. This ought to be an interesting day. Now, the Malach of his presence. The Malach of his presence, you can find it in the regular canon in Isaiah 63:9. It says, in all affliction he was afflicted, and the Malach of his presence saved them in his love and in his pity. He redeemed them, and he bare them and carried them all days of old. Okay, same Malach. All right, and so of course, the question I had was, is this the time the whole earth will be renewed and the old earth will burn with a fervent heat? Or is this the time when there will be a renewing of Israel, the creatures of Jerusalem, and Zion or Zion?
I say renewing.
Okay. All right, great. Let's keep going. Looking at the new, okay, continue. So Jubilees 4:26, and then we're going to the Targums here. For Yahuah has 4 sacred places upon the earth: the Garden of Eden, which is going to be coming down here, it says, and the mountain of the east, and the mountain which you are upon today, Mount Sinai, and Mount Sion, which will be sanctified or purified in the new creation for the sanctification of the earth. On account of this, the earth will be sanctified or purified from all sin and from pollution throughout the eternal generations. Right? All right, so Targum's Mike says this: sustain your people by your memra, or by your word. That's the Aramaic for word. May the tribe of your inheritance dwell by themselves in the world, which is about to be renewed. May those that are desolate as a grove be inhabited like an orchid. May they sustain themselves in the land of Matanan and Gilal or Galid, as it's commonly called, as in the days of old. Like in the days of their going forth from the land of Mitzrayim, I will show them miracles. Oh, this is coming back? Like the days of Mitzrayim or Egypt, the nations shall see and be ashamed despite all their might. They shall place their hand over their mouth. Their ears shall become deaf. They shall lie flat on their face on the ground like a serpent. Like crawlers of the dust shall they move from their citadels. And from before Yahuah our Elohim, they shall be broken, and they shall fear from before you. So this is a time, just as it was in Mitzrayim, it's coming back again, right? So we read it before in the canon. I just wanted to read it in the Targum. There is none apart from you. You are the Lord who forgives iniquities and passes over the sins belonging to the remnant of his inheritance. He does not harbor his anger forever. Hallelujah. For he is pleased with doing good. His memra, his word, shall again have mercy on us. He shall subdue our iniquities in his love, and shall cast all the sins of Israel into the depths of the sea. So that's a day to look forward to. So that doesn't mean you pile up all your sins now and then say, okay, put all that in there too, Father. Mm-hmm. All right, so there are multiple steps in the creational process, just as there has to be a kingdom inside you before you are in a physical kingdom. So also with us having a new body, there will also be a new heaven and a new earth. There's a process to this, right? So everyone thinks like all at one time. No. So for you guys' studies. Okay. This is a big topic. So here are some places to get you started. Everything is done in a season or appointed time and stages. I would get familiar with these scriptures that talks about a quote unquote resurrection or a type of changing. And these are the scriptures for you guys to get started with it. Okay. So you don't have to write it down now. It's guess what? It's recorded. When you record it, that means you can always go back and pause. This is the one right here. All right. Meanwhile, it's gone away. This is the last slide, and then we'll close. Now, I want to give you an example of seeing us. So on this side, I have technically Acts 26 with one place in Galatians. And then on this side, it's the Septuagint. Now, you guys know that the Septuagint was really used during the time of the Mashiach and the first century. They were using the Septuagint a lot. So I wanted to give you a comparison of this. So I put color for color so you guys can see one side, and we're going to go on the other side. All right, there's only two differences that I had to do some fixing. All right, so we'll start with Acts 26:16 says, "But rise and stand upon your feet, for I have appeared unto you for this purpose." So stand on your feet. Ezekiel 2:1. I'm just saying what it reads. I mean, if you want to. If you want the blood to flow, no problem. All right. In Ezekiel 2:1 it says, "This was the appearance of the likeness of the esteem of Yahuah. And I saw and fell upon my face and heard the voice of one speaking. And he said, Son of man, stand upon your feet, and I will speak to you." Okay. Then it says, back to Acts 26:16, "to make you a minister and a witness." Isaiah 43:10, "Be you my witness, and I too am a witness, saith Yahuah Elohim, and my servant whom I have chosen." All right, so you can read the rest of 16, where it says, "Both these things which you have seen, and of those things which in which I will appear unto you." But the point here is you are to stand on your feet and be his servant and witness. That's what he's created his people for. All right. 17 says, "Deliver you from the people and from the Gentiles, unto whom now I send you." Yirmiyahu 1:7 says, "And Yahuah said unto me, Say not, I am a child, for you shall go to all to whomever I will or shall send you. And according to all the words that I shall command you, you shall speak." You're going to see that it's an ongoing theme from one side of the book to the other side of the book. So Galatians 1, all right. Galatians 1:15, it says, "But when it pleased Elohah, who separated me from my mother's womb, he called me by his favor." Yirmiyahu 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you, and before you came forth from the belly." Okay, so think about something here is he knew you're in from the beginning. Everyone knows those things, but you got to walk in what he has given you. Okay, so if he knew you before, then just walk in what he's giving you, your calling. Galatians 1:16 says, "To reveal his son in me, that I might preach among the Gentiles." So here it is. He's preaching. He revealed his son in him. So Mashiach take it in. And then he has to do what now? Preach it where? Among the Gentiles. So the finishing part of Yirmiyahu 1:5 is, "I purified you. I appointed you a prophet to who? The Gentiles. To the Gentiles, to the nations." So the three words, nation, heathen, and Gentile, is all the same Hebrew word. Okay? Goyim. All right, Acts 26:18 says, "To open their eyes and to turn them from darkness to light, and from the power of Shaitan unto Elohah." Okay, that they may receive forgiveness of sin. Now, on this side, it says, "I, Yahuah Elohim, have called you in righteousness, and will hold your hand and will strengthen you. And I have given you for the covenant of a race, for a light of the Gentiles, to open the eyes of the blind, to bring the bounds in them that sit in darkness out of the bounds and the prison houses." So in my little highlight in yellow, I put note, take power from Shaitan by being a light. Remember I said earlier, how do you do it? Keeping his commandments. All right. Let me scroll up here. All right. So, I can't do that because there's also another place, which is in Isaiah 42:16. I didn't have enough room, so I put it on this side. And I would turn darkness into light for them and crooked things into straight. All right. Last part says in Acts 26:23, it says, and Mashiach should suffer, and that he should be the first that should rise from the dead, and should show light unto the people and to the Gentiles. You go over Isaiah 49:6 says, and he said to me, it is a great thing for you to be called my servant. Who's called the servant right here? Are you sure? He says, called my servant to establish the tribe of Jacob and to recover the dispersed of Israel. Who is this servant?
Yahusha.
There you go, the Mashiach. See, you see this? That's why I carry this. I want this to carry over to show that the Mashiach is ongoing from here to the other, from one side of the book to the other side of the book. He's going to do this for a purpose. He says, so behold, I have given you for the covenant of a race, which you read earlier in 42:6. He says, for a light to the Gentiles, that you should be for salvation to the ends of the earth. So my commentary, comparing the text, some things should jump out. Israel was designed to be a light to the nation/Gentiles. Notice we read them being called from the womb, like Mashiach, right? Mashiach went to his own first. Then, when you jump over here, as we read over here, a race to do what? To the Gentiles. So again, there's a part where Israel still has to play in the future. His servant is to establish Israel and be a light to the Gentiles. He had a twofold deal. All right, so Acts 13:47. For so has Yahuah commanded us, saying, I have set you to be a light of the Gentiles, that you should be for salvation unto the ends of the earth. Same thing you read over here in Isaiah, to the ends of the earth, the same thing here. It carries over. That's where it's read from. Okay, so I want us to understand that yes, there's a part that everybody has to play. You know, I know everybody say, hey, we're all going at the same time, but he's doing things in stages. When is he going to start his own house? He made a covenant. He made a promise that he has to fulfill still. He still may have to make the two sticks one. He still has to reestablish Israel. And then from there are going to be some of those that when Israel goes out, there are going to be some that strangers are going to sojourn among Israel. And as you keep going in Ezekiel, you start reading about, I think it's specifically chapter 47, you start reading how when he gives them their inheritance, even the Gentiles that sojourn are going to have an inheritance. There's a process to this. Same thing you read in Revelations. We read about how those coming out of the Great Tribulation, first talking about the 144,000, that's still, then another number which no man could number. Notice that's a different time. So again, there are stages and processes that we have to understand. All right, so any questions?